Philosophy is divided up into many different subgenres for every area that you can consider, everything that we're concerned with. There's a corresponding field, philosophy of that, right? Philosophy of mathematics, philosophy of science, and philosophy of physics, philosophy of biology, philosophy of the social sciences, philosophy of history, philosophy of education. Everything that you can think of, there is the corresponding philosophy of that field. And Plato pretty much considered each one of these subgenres of philosophy. He asked the paradigmatic question, the iconic question, formulated that question in all of these different areas. And that is amazing. And we don't know all that much about the man himself. He chose to write in dialogue forms. He tells us, actually, that he wrote with great reservations, and he actually says in the 7th letter if it's authentic or not. It was certainly written by somebody who was very close to Plato, so we can trust it. He says that he had never committed his philosophy to writing. He mistrusts writing, this newfangled invention of writing. The Greeks had only had writing for about 200 years after they had lost it. They imported their alphabet from Phoenicia. And he believed in lived conversation, in lived dialogue, that the way philosophy has to be pursued is in the clash of points of view, that what we're looking for is to uncover unexamined presuppositions that lie so deep down in one's own way of viewing the world that it's invisible. You just don't even see it. And the only hope of seeing it is to be in living, almost aggressive conversation with others who are going to challenge your point of view and therefore show you that you're making assumptions that you're not aware of. So he did write, despite his reservations. He wrote a great deal. He wrote very amazingly, very beautifully. They're still works of art as well as being great works of literature, but they're the dialogue form, and that's really interesting. It's the closest approximation, he seems to be telling us, to the way philosophy really ought to be done, which is in living conversation. One of the things that I do, so I go back to ancient Greece, and I have a theory as to why the Greeks were the extraordinary people that they were, why they discovered philosophy as well as the rudiments of science, certainly abstract mathematics, history, the study of history as opposed to just chronicles, and as well as extraordinary living art, drama, poetry, sculpture, architecture. Bertrand Russell says in his magnificent The History of Western Philosophy that for millennia, men have just gazed on the Greeks and muttered mystically about their genius. Well, I sort of wanted to go back. I don't like muttering mystically. And free thought heroin, right? No mysticism for me. But is there something that we can still learn about why they achieved so much? And I have a theory about it. I thought all of the reviews would attack this theory because it's kind of a new theory, and how dare one have a new theory about the Greeks? We've been gazing at, muttering mystically, for millennia, but everybody ignored that and sort of just went along with the story that I want to tell about why the Greeks did what they did and why they approached these questions of who we are, where we are, what are we meant to do with our life in this somewhat secular way, despite the fact that it was a society that was drenched in religion. But they were trying to reason their way out on these very big questions. And why did they approach it in this way? I have a theory about this. Anyway, everybody ignored that and just kind of went along with my story. And the thing that everybody's paid attention to is that I thought, as a way of demonstrating that these questions that are first raised by Plato are still so deeply embedded in our lives that we all wonder about them, we all think about them, we all come to various points of view. Wouldn't it be cool if somebody could write contemporary Platonic dialogues, bringing Plato forward into our day, rooting it in the real Plato, as much as one can, right? And so lifting passages from the actual Plato, but also showing how relevant these issues that he first raised are to questions that still percolate underneath our lives and often right in the midst of our lives, that are roiling beneath us and that we're all concerned with, but also showing how far we've come since Plato. You know, bring Plato into our day to also show that we've made some progress, I would argue, a lot of progress, since he first raised these questions. So Plato, the approach is Plato's, the questions are Plato's, but I wouldn't say that the answers are all Plato's. There are a lot of things that we would have to instruct Plato about. Wouldn't it be cool to do that? And it just, you know, it just seemed like the most audacious idea ever I could possibly undertake it. I wanted to read somebody doing this. Well, that's how things usually overtake me. I think somebody ought to do this. This would be really interesting. I want to read this. And then start playing around with the idea, and then it starts coming alive, and before I know it, I'm doing it. And then I finish and I say, how did I ever dare to do such a thing as to bring Plato forward into our contemporary lives?